Hello, and welcome back to the Market Mamas podcast. We're really glad you stopped by. My name is Becky, and I'm here with Kendra. We are futures day traders from the West Coast, just around 3.5 years into our trading journeys. So we created this podcast to have a space to offer up our constructive conversations so that it might help other developing traders learn, grow, and feel supported as these conversations do for us. So heaven knows, day trading is actually a super hard pursuit, and so we want to be here for you for all of it. Thanks for being here. Today, Kendra's going to lead a discussion about her month in November and her progress she's making. So I can't wait to hear.
Yes, thank you everyone for being here with us today. So to start this month out, I had a big reminder that last November of 2023, I had very first started learning to trade in Q futures. We've shared before when Becky and I first started out learning to trade, we dabbled in many instruments like gold, oil, Russell 2000, aka RTY. She was my first baby. For a minute. I followed natural gas for a bit. We also did our fair share of swing trading and options. So those were fun times, right, Becky? However, once we moved on to new mentors and advanced our trading education, ES futures, also known as S&P 500, just really became our main focus. And looking back, I do think that was really the best thing we could have done because we really needed that tunnel vision. It was just so helpful, when you're really trying to master something extremely challenging, such as day trading. For me, about a year after learning market profile and building my trading edge with ES, I decided to try my hand with NASDAQ. My trading community had been trading in Q for many months and just seemed to be really into it. So the curiosity definitely got to me. And I started out in micros and then worked my way to full size. And I just thought I would trade ES, would still trade ES with the idea that, maybe I'd see which index gave me a better opportunity. But that then turned into me wanting to force a trade some days on both. So I really just backed off of ES and I very much fell fully in love with NQ. And I'm just so glad I made that move because I've really had my most successful year trading yet. And I really think that challenging myself to expand and leave my comfort zone, it really played a huge role in my growth. And also, I know Becky recently started trading a new instrument as well, the Dow, aka YM. I believe this year as well, around summertime, right? Tell us how that went for you.
Yeah, I switched back in June. So I had a lot of really good success at the start of the year. And then I was just kind of stumbling. Something hit me and I lost sort of my ground. And so it was suggested maybe shift a little bit. And people in my community, Kendra and I are different advanced communities, side note. And so people were switching to YM and really enjoying how she moved. And we're talking in our group live sessions about the way that she was they were seeing her and the trades they were able to capitalize on. And I was like, all right, it's time. I want to vary it up. And then with US based equity futures instruments, a lot of times the same techniques that we use can cross over into different, YM, NASDAQ, and ES. We can use the same strategies often, and then we just adjust them a little bit. So yeah, and it was perfect. It was around June when I switched to YM and I just was like, hard stop. I switched to everything. I didn't dabble at all. I was like, I'm going to go all in this other one. And I fell in love. I still love ES. But YM, I really have enjoyed getting to know and learn and have had some pretty good success with her as well.
Yeah. And I admire, hats off to people who can literally trade all three. I mean, maybe one day that would be awesome. It's cool that we both now trade other instruments. And then another thing that stands out for me this year is how I've really defined and refined my personal accountability for trading my plan and sticking to my plan. So earlier in the year, I would make Post-its during my pre-market prep, which I would just outline specific levels that I would only want to execute on. And this was very helpful to simplify my process and stay on track. I'm sure Becky remembers a great morning for me would be when I would message her. I followed my Post-it, and then on days I would hesitate or abandon those plans completely. It gave me so much clarity on the importance of having our playbook and respecting it regardless of how we're performing on the day or how challenging of conditions the markets are presenting. After reading one of Becky and my favorite books, One Good Trade, and then learning from the super successful trader Carmine Rosado, the Post-its then evolved into my if-then statement charting. So for me, and I'm sure many traders, we have multiple levels of interest and potential targets marked out on our charts. And they're all collected from previous data, and it comes together to form our understanding of market context, which is fixed and objective. Once we begin trading in a live session, now the fresh and subjective data starts to flood our minds and our charts, and then navigating between those two to make our best winning choices becomes a task. I'll never forget one of the tips my mentor gave us on market navigation, which went market profile is the map and VWAP is the traffic. So essentially, we have the tools to understand and explain where and why Miss Market may go where she goes, and how she gets there is the beauty of market sentiment and how all our opportunities are created being intraday traders. The truth is anything can happen, of course, at any given time. And as the famous quote says, markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. It speaks to the unpredictable nature of the business, despite how much effort we as traders put in. However, what we know is something. It's undeniable. And I know for Becky and I, on most days when we are consistent in following our trade intention and our accountability to stay in sync with Miss Market, we are CPTs. We are consistently profitable traders. My if-then statements, they keep me calm, they keep me cool, and ready to explain at any given moment what actions I'm taking or I'm not taking, decisions and personal opinions I'm forming, and all of that will contribute to me being a consciously competent trader and being confident about my trading abilities. Even on the days that I don't take the best route to my destination, there's always so much more to learn and unpack and improve within any given trading session. And I'm grateful for that for sure. And I know Becky knows now a good day for me is when I message her and say, I followed my if-then statement. I also want to discuss another part of my development that I learned to own and allow to strengthen me overall. And that's leaning into how I see the market most and allowing that to serve me. So as I shared before, I have a preference for trading long continuation. This would get me into a lot of trouble in the past when I would either hesitate and then chase a target that was already achieved, or I failed to recognize instead when price was about to rotate back down. This blind love for the bulls and desire to ride them to the moon needed some major work and refinement. One of the things I did for myself was I created a presentation slideshow called Kendra's CPT Long Continuation Setups. And since I keep a screenshot record of all my trade executions, I went back a year and started pulling some of the best of those trades. Then I created a column in which listed all the supporting conditions and the data that gave those setups the highest probability. Things like opening location, if VWAP was angled up with an established rhythm to the left, if standard deviation was expanding out, significant hidden divergences within an uptrend, cumulative delta volume supporting buyers as price went up, to name a few. And what's interesting is I did all this to help me take better advantage of those setups and when conditions were favoring my game. And it very much did help with that. But on the flip side, what I feel like really helped me the most is it made things so much clearer for me to identify when conditions were not ideal. And because of that, I was able to eliminate many of those losses I previously took from wanting to force how I wanted to trade at that time. So accepting this led me to actually understanding other conditions better, accepting and being way more open to other opportunities. It's pretty cool to actually see those changes and growth playing out in my daily executions and trading journal in real time. Just this past week, some of my most profitable trades were actually not long continuation bias, but were just following where Miss Market was going and using my better understanding of conditions to manage my positions accordingly. Things like shorting with the bears and trusting lower targets, trading in both directions in one session, scalping when I needed to, buying into support after a big move down. Like, these are all things I struggled with so much in the past. They're not in my comfort zone, but it's kind of awesome that I'm continuing to push my own boundaries and grow even further.
Yes, it's so good. Like, we can figure out something early on that we're good at and comes to us more easily and more naturally. And hell yes, we should trade that as often as we can find it. But we also have to, like, then you have to combat the bias of not wanting to make everything that trade, right?
Yeah.
So you like killed it with your attention to that and like using your slides in a way that you have them as data that you have collected, and then you can lean on them and study them and realize when they are ideal and when they are less than ideal. And so I think that is a powerful example of learning from what you have done in the past by keeping records of it and studying it and putting in the effort after hours to like look at your setups and study them. Because that's like trading is not just in the moment when it's time to execute. There's so much more that goes behind it in order to make your executions the most effective they can. And that honestly has played out in the multiple different executions you've had this weekend, because you are absolutely like progressing along in your journey and learning to capitalize in all kinds of market conditions. And that's what it looks like to be a growing trader. Like we figure out what comes easy and then we work to get good at the other opportunities.
Yeah, I agree. It's quite the evolution we're on. Okay, so also accepting risk fully and playing full out has been a process for me. I've been working on so hard all year. I kind of was still hitting a wall in not allowing myself to take more and limiting myself. As I think I outlined pretty well so far today, my ability to be more selective and uphold my trade intentions has significantly made progress. However, my position sizing was just lame. And I found that more often than not, I was not adding to my best setups that I had waited for, had the most confluences and higher success rates with. I was still selling myself short. I did have some issues going between trading 50K eval accounts to trading 250K evals. And I was settling on only wanting to trade 250K accounts, but I was still treating my risk like I was trading a 50K account. So it definitely took some time just to iron that out. And then one of the things I did start doing that helped me so much was entering with 2 contracts to start, because that took the potential lag time of me having to do all the extra thinking or maybe doubting just out of the equation. The goal was for me to just get comfortable with that size as a new baseline. And then when I did believe the trade had proven itself and I felt like adding on to my position for potentially holding longer to an additional target, then I could, depending on my if then statements, of course, and market conditions. So overall, this has really greatly increased my average wins, which is a great feeling, as it's only right that we improve our P&L. As we make improvements, it should be reflected. So I'll share one of my self-coaching mantras that I read every morning, and that goes, I believe in terms of possibility and potential. Today could be the day I take my best trade yet. Why not? No, really, it only makes sense that I continue to improve. My future is bright and I have a strong trajectory. I'm going to attract the best trades. No idea when and how often they will come, but I trust that what is for me is for me. So I love that because it keeps me open to receive the abundance of the market every day. And I also have another list of promises that I declare each day as well. In that one, I state I could also not trade at all. So I'll touch more on that next, but it's definitely a good balance, I feel.
Yeah, those are beautiful. And I think that there's so much power in the idea that today could be the day I take my best trade ever, because why not? You know, like we're putting forth all of this energy to get good and to figure out how to more fully capitalize on our edge. And that is absolutely in the realm of possibilities. And it's only going to keep getting stronger. And I just love your words with those. And I also think that it can be a whole topic onto itself of leveraging up, because you guys, like, that's not a small thing. In the beginning, when you're learning to day trade, I think you F around with all kind of size, right? Like you start small, like they say, and you start in sim, you start in micro, and then you're like, but I want to make money. And so then I think every trader has a time when they maybe leverage up too soon and you're humbled. But then when you start getting edge, it's like a real conversation to be like, when, how much, what setups, like how can I clearly define them more early? And so there's a lot of factors around leveraging up, and then the risk that goes along with that. And then how do you adjust your stop when you're in with higher contracts? It's a lot to process, and you just have to kind of come at it as a part of like, this is my system and a way that I need to adjust and grow and do it in a way that is in sync with who I am and how I'm growing and what my accounts can tolerate. So good job in like navigating that whole path this fall, because it's something we have to always be cognizant of as we grow in this world.
Yeah, it's a big challenge, and to do it in a way that you can, as your execution, as your skill set's growing, that you could grow that too. Give myself that push and then just kind of establish a new baseline and do the things I know I need to do to have that significant improvement, not only on my trading executions, but on my equity curve. So anyways, I did want to save the best for last. With this next bit, I want to share, which really needs to be a discussion, of its own, but I'll go ahead and kick it off here for us. And that is the reality and really annoying factor that in order to continue two-stepping into being a fully consistently profitable trader, I actually need to become a better loser. And I fully believe limiting participation and not feeling like trading every day is a requirement to be a profitable trader is hard for me to accept. Anyone else? As amazing as these winning streaks feel and as much potential as they represent, winning is only part of the game. And for me, it feels like that was easier to accept and take hits when I just wasn't very good. It's like you finally figure out the game to win consistently, and then you need to turn back around and figure out how to lose again. Am I right?
Yes, 100% right. Yeah, it doesn't matter near as much until you actually figure out how to be good. And then you don't want to lose because you're good. Yeah.
Because ending a red day, it's just not the usual outcome. It's more like I either have a clean and green execution for my day, or maybe I misfire a shot or two, but I get in better alignment and I end strong. We've learned from the beginning that losing is the only guarantee in this game. But speaking for myself, I still haven't mastered how to win through losing and just taking those small hits and walking away, or following a hard rule like 2 to 3 losses in a session and I'm done type thing. It's tricky because I fully believe since losses are part of the game and timing the market is extremely challenging, it is a great skill to be able to stay neutral and stay in the game, even if you do take some initial L's. But your plan is still playing out and you're focused enough to still execute from a very steady and sound state. However, that's a slippery slope too, as it can reinforce attempting to come back from losses instead of walking away. And it's a lot to manage to know what the right move is at any given moment. And you never really know until things play out. To be fair, I don't think it's necessarily a 100% right or wrong way to go about this because it's going to look different for everyone. And any system needs to fit your own personality and psychology to actually implement it effectively. However, I can say when I do watch and study the super successful advanced traders and they share their trading stats, they are not only consistent in their profitable days, but also consistent in their losing days. And of course, they're always smaller and they don't bleed out. So back to me, this is a major growth opportunity as I've been able to on occasion walk away after respectable losses. But a tilt day or multiple days in a row where I'm fearful of a drawdown, it almost always ended with me flushing away so much hard work and progress. It's like the concept of doing less and being more needs to take over when these days occur. Instead of trying to make it up in an instant and not take an L, I need to recognize the wiser and consistently profitable trader choice is to walk away and protect my progress, not leverage it at the worst time. My mentor posted this advice a while back and I took a screenshot, and for a long time I would read it every morning during my pre-market prep, and it went, trading is probably one of the hardest skills I've ever learned, and it took so long to learn as well. The technical parts are easy. The hardest parts are 1, how to overcome our fears, 2, how to recognize our feelings at every moment during trading, 3, how to stand up and walk away on a bad day, 4, how to stand up and walk away on a good day. So these are universal truths, I believe, at any and every stage of trading. Really, mastering ourselves is an ongoing process and very much an inside job. I'm here for it, and I do not want to manifest red days, but I know that I need to reframe how I experience them in real time so I can practice playing like a professional that has risk accounted for, expected, and respected as the cost of me doing business. Not only just when it works out in my favor. I believe it's just another full circle evolution in my trading that I'm looking forward to for sure.
Yes, girl, this is a huge topic in trading because learning how to accept a small red day and keep it small is required for the consistent profitability that we're striving towards. And we actually did an episode many, many months ago on the book, The Best Loser Wins by Tom Hugard. And it was really good. And it centered around this topic as that whole entire book does, because you have to dial in losing because that's a part of trading. It's a game of risk. It's a game of risk management and to figure out your system and what your best setups look like and where your risk has to remain in order to be able to capitalize on your winners, but keep your losers small. Like that's the core of what it is essentially in trading and how you become consistently unprofitable and you stay in the game and you don't give up and lose all of your money. So it's a huge thing that we're going through now that we do have the ability to win. Thank goodness, like knock on wood, more of the time, most of the time is to take those successful trades. And that's preferable, right? But then when you do struggle in the beginning, I am the same boat. And I know one of my very good friends speaks to this as well, is that those are our highest potential for tilt days is taking an early loss and then either walking away or walking away briefly or walking away for the entire day. In some manner, at least for he and I, we both need to distance ourselves from the charts for at least a few minutes and then make sure that if we take another trade, we are able to focus and dial in on our data, because I think that's the core of whether you're revenge trading or over trading or in fix it mode, or you are still present, calm, and respecting market conditions and absorbing your data with the same objectivity as you were before you took that loss. And so that, like you said, is highly personal, and we do each just have to live through it and do our best to keep them small and then dial it in so that we can know ourselves best so that we can do the best with it. Because I've certainly experienced both sides where I have taken a loss and then I have stayed focused and been able to take a better trade and ended green or less red and considered that a win of a day. And I've also totally really had awful days that didn't ever have to go down to that depth. So absolutely an important conversation topic, Kendra, and a way to cover it in this episode.
Well, and it's like, it really never comes, like the intentions are always good to start out with, right? It's like, we want to work. Like we showed up to work, we showed up to trade, and we showed up to use our skills. And it's like, again, that concept of like, you could do less and be more. That idea that like, I actually don't have to trade every day to be profitable. Like I actually don't have to prove myself in this one session. I actually don't have to fix this right now. It's like that in of itself. It's like, we overcomplicate it so much, but I think it's just a maturity thing. I think just realizing that we have to get more better. Like I said at the beginning of the section, like get better at losing. And so I hate saying that, like, it doesn't even sound right, but it is. It's the right thing. So yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in today. It means so much to Becky and I to have this super supportive community and safe space to share our experiences as developing traders. So please let us know in the comments how this episode resonated with you. We always love to hear back from you all. We've learned over these past 3 years, almost 4, how easily our confidence can rise and fall based on our performance, but we're dedicated to the long game and showing up day after day to work towards our goals. We know and want all our viewers to know that we are all worthy of this pursuit and have so much more value to bring forth during this lifetime. We hope that you all will believe that whatever you're feel called to do has already been given to you. Just keep at it one day at a time. Watch all the pieces fall into place. And we'll be back next week with a whole new episode. And please reach out to connect or collaborate. All of our email, website, and social info is in the description below. And as I always say, our best trading days are ahead. Take care, everyone.
Bye. Take care.